Come on. Come on.
Hey everybody, I know I'm late. Sorry. I had a day. We are supposed to be talking about boundaries, which we are, but we're also going to talk about what happened to me and why these things happen. So there is a Black, Latino, and Asian coalition, let's just say, for privacy. I'm going to keep it very generalized. And it's a Black-based not-for-profit that helps aid in alternative education, right? There are a lot of presenters, there are a lot of speakers, and a lot of matter-of-factors presenting. Now, when one of the gentlemen speaks, he does his part of the presentation. He prefaces by saying that he is a PhD candidate at Columbia University and he has makes the crowd stand up, does this whole retort on empowerment and enthusiasm, and it's in, and enthusi means God, it's the power within. And I'm like, okay, very preacher-esque. Eli, what is that? What is that noise? I'm live, sir. Okay, thank you. So very preacher-esque, which I already see through because I'm an intellect. So he comes down to his presentation, and I know it's rhetorical, but it is what it is. Words matter, things matter. He says our community is lacking, and we're lacking of this. We're lacking of opportunities, and he says we're lacking. Our community is lacking, and I go, lacking of what? And then he goes, opportunities, right? We're lacking of opportunities, right? And I go, no, I disagree. And when you ask the question, right, you are looking for affirmation, but you're also opening the door to opposition. No, I don't agree with you. So I say, what can you specifically say that our community is lacking of when you speak of opportunity? What opportunity is our community lacking of? I don't agree, because I believe now we have more opportunities as a community. And when we're talking community, we're talking minority, Black, Latin, and Asian, inner city. That is the community we speak of. We have more opportunities than we did 50, 60 years ago. Everybody in NYCHA should have a college degree. Because if you live in NYCHA, you have very easy and accessible access to go to a city university of New York and obtain a degree. If you are a foster child, you get money to go to college. Now, and I say, when you don't have access to money or generational wealth, the great equalizer in this country is education. This is why we're all here at this education-based, non-for-profit parent meeting. So I said, I don't agree. He didn't say anything after that. He did his facial expressions or whatever. And because of time, the moderator summarized what was said and we moved on. Now, I was getting scoffs and skulls the whole night, the whole rest of the presentation from said gentlemen. And I brushed it off. I said what I had to say. I don't agree. I am not a person to proselytize. I don't need you to come on my side, but I'm also not going to jump on the bandwagon and just digest what you say as law. No, I disagree. Fine. When we were leaving, everybody was leaving. I was going to go get my coat, my kids, because they were in the kiddie center. He goes to speak to me and addresses me by name. and says, "Let me talk to you. Why don't you feel that our community is lacking in opportunity?" And I go on. The opportunity is there. You, sir, let us know that you are a PhD defending, because you have to defend your thesis. You are defending your thesis at Columbia University. Systemic racism didn't keep you out of there. So I said, what opportunities? What are the barriers keeping our community from succeeding? And then he goes to give me the definition of racism, systemic racism, and all of the barriers by definition. And I said, give me an example how these definitions, which I am not debating, are real and are there. But tell me how that keeps us from accessing these opportunities. I need to know. He then gives me another example, and I said, I too have a psychology degree, and I know exactly what you're doing. You are talking in circles, sir. I said, not looking at you. Now I'm talking friendly, upbeat. I'm smiling. This is not a contentious conversation. It is a back and forth of the minds and two people who have opposing sides of the spectrum. We are having an educational retort, a back and forth, right? Two intellectuals going at it, because I am a learned Negro. I have lots of certificates and certifications, which I did not preface by saying I have these things. But when I did say I disagreed, when he's saying, I said, I too have a psychology degree. I have one of those too. Because I guess that's what we was doing, because you had to let us know you were defending your PhD, right? So, or they call it defending, right? You're at the stage where you finished everything, so now you have to defend your thesis. That's where he is. He let us know this. I didn't ask us, he let us know. So I thought it was two intellects going at it, and I got very excited because I get an opportunity to express my views because you came to me. You stopped me. I didn't stop you in the elevator lobby. Therefore, when you stopped me to continue the conversation that we were having that we could not have because of time constraints, I thought you was ready to have an intellectual dialogue. Now, if you are a PhD student, you know that when you defend your thesis, you don't have to change the mind of the professors. You just have to put together a clear and concise argument as to why this is your thesis. This is the evidence, this is the backing, and that is it. They don't have to agree with you or not. You don't win if they agree with you. You just get published. And it is a thesis, it is a hypothesis, and his is in psychology, which is just a theory. Just like religion, it is just a theory. It's a theory science. So we go to this back and forth. He again cannot tell me examples, yet I am telling him examples of being from the clear definition of the urban inner cities to using education as a way to uplift and to get myself other opportunities I would have not had I not taken advantage of the opportunities. Now, I told him a lot of it, I agree, has to deal with the gatekeeping of information. If you don't know, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So yes, everybody might not know that these programs are available. They can't take advantage of it. But what about the ones that do? What about the people that I grew up with that I told about these opportunities I didn't see them registering with me for classes? What about those? What about the people that know but don't care and are for the streets, for lack of a better term? I didn't say this to him. I'm talking to y'all. Can we talk? We talking. What about the ones who know but don't show? I again asked him for examples, and I say, you go to Columbia. That's a PWI, my brother. That's a predominantly white institution. Systemic racism didn't keep you out of there. You there. I said, can you buy a house in this country? He said, yes. Can you get a mortgage in this country? He said, yes. I said, if you don't fill out the equal opportunity credit thing, if you don't fill that out, which is optional, if you don't fill that out, how will they know you're Black? Your name, Jeffrey. How are they going to know? If you apply for college and you don't fill out the part that's asking for racial demographic, how are they going to know? So how are those obstacles affecting Black people in 2024? Now, I told him, I said, I could tell you're in your 50, almost 60, if not 60, and it's not from your looks. You have great skin. It's glistening and tight. Man, you look good. But I could tell from the way you're talking, you're in your 50s, almost 60s. And he looked down and smiled. I said, because I talk to you guys all the time. There are not white people coming into inner city schools telling Black and Latino children that they don't have opportunities. That's not happening. At least not happening in the state that we're talking about. Never. Never has that happened. But what has happened is you as a Black man are telling us we don't have opportunity. That is a lie, sir. You are perpetuating a lie. You are fostering and continuing the mental slavery that we put on ourselves. White people are not in our homes to tell us that we don't have opportunities. What white man came and told me as a little Black girl in the inner cities of Brooklyn, New York, that you ain't shit, your mama ain't shit, you ain't never gonna be shit? Never. Actually, it's a Black man in my community told me I would never be a doctor. I guess he was right because I'm not a doctor. But white people never told me the sky's not the limit for you. The limit is the sky. You know who perpetuates that mentality? Black people. It starts in your home. We are our own detriment when you're perpetuating this narrative that we are less than, we don't have opportunities, and we're not worthy. But then this whole program was teaching us about being empowered, empowering ourselves. But you are going around saying we don't have opportunity. How is that applicable in 2024? How? It's not. But what happens is you have these old thinking that they want to continue with the youth. You see, the millennials, as much as y'all hate us, y'all call us participation trophy generation. You call us all these names, but what we do have is easy, quick, damn near free access to information that you guys didn't have. Hold on, I'm trying to find out. So what happened is we are the oh my god, I found it in the hold on, guys. I want to share something with you that I'm just not pulling this out of my ass. Um anyway, I'll find it later. Let me not break my train of thought. So um I'm talking to him and we're having a back and forth, and my husband is standing there and my kids are there and we're talking, and um he's losing. I'm not trying to blow smoke up my ass or big up myself or be like, oh, I'm that bitch. He's losing. He's losing because I'm asking for examples of how systemic racism and white people are keeping us back and robbing us of opportunity. And he did not give me one. When I'm talking to a man in his mid 50s who goes to a predominantly white institution as prestigious as Columbia University and is going to tell me that Black people are lacking in opportunity. And I said, sir, let's be real. When you put Columbia on a resume, that means something. Black, white, or purple. You see, the thing is, and what old Negroes need to realize is, yes, I completely understand these systems were in place to hold you back without a doubt. Historically, yes. In 2024, does racism still exist? Yes. Does it have the power it did before? No. No. You can buy a house, you can get a mortgage. So redlining is not a thing anymore for you. Jim Crow is not a thing for you. The veteran housing bill is not a thing anymore. You can go to any college that you want to. You can apply and go in. Now, am I ignorant to the fact that they are taking less black students than they are white students? Yes, but that's not the argument. The argument is access to opportunity. The opportunity is there. We don't take it. We don't take it. For whatever reason, it's not being utilized. The great equalizer in this country is money, education, and going in the military. I did it in one of my videos before. I am not subscribing to victim mentality anymore. You, sir, are the biggest detriment to black people and minorities if you continue to say we don't have opportunities. What you need to say is the opportunities exist. They are there. They are gatekept. You might not be able to go to Harvard to get that bachelor's degree because systemic racism keeps you out. I agree. But you could go to HBCU, you could go to a city college, you could go to a state college. Hell, you could leave the country and go to college. America does not stop you from education. Now, the location of that education might be a hindrance. And yes, it does matter in white spaces seeing Columbia on on an application than it does Morehouse. But this is how you fix it. And we never got to have this conversation because I'm going to tell you what happened. This is where I was going with it, because I don't always just come with opposition. I come with solutions as well, or if it's not a solution, something to try, something that we can try. And I thought that's what we were doing when I signed up to this gathering of this non-for-profit. But before I can get to that, he said, what is the biggest hindrance for the black man? And I said, the black man. And he said, yes, we're talking about the black man. What is the biggest hindrance and detriment to the black man? And I said, the black man. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man. Who is the biggest detriment and his hindrance to the black man? The black man. Nothing holds back the black man more than the black. And before he could hear my reasoning, when he realized that I am making black men accountable for their actions and their decisions, he said, and I quote, now you sounding racist. I'm done with you. Went like this and continued to saunter away. I'm was accused of being racist as we talk about black people, me, a big fat black woman. I was going to let it go, but I could not. I walked to where he was and I said, What you not gonna do is accuse me of being racist or call me racist, dismiss me, walk away, and think I'm not gonna let all of your colleagues know what a coward you are. Because you came to me. I didn't come for you. You came to me. So when you came to me, you were ready for this intellectual dialogue that was going to happen. And I was said, the first thing they said is, well, let's keep our voices down. We don't have to yell. And I said, you don't get to do something to somebody and tell them how to react. And she backed off. You don't get to disrespect me and gatekeep my reaction because, sir, you came to me and what you saw was a woman and you couldn't handle it when you were losing. So you resorted to juvenile behavior of name calling and walking away. Now, if he would have walked away, that'd have been fine. Or you could have said, now you're going on to something else and I don't want to. No, all right, have a good day, ma'am. So we go back and forth and he tries to act like he didn't say it. And I said, you didn't say it? My husband was standing right there. Oh, and people, this is what he did. He went and he started talking to my husband and said, can you talk to her? Can you calm her down? Before I could say anything, the other women were like, whoa. Nigga, can my husband talk to me? Because you disrespected me and you're not ready for this confrontation because you thought you could just call me racist. And I went in there and said, first of all, I can't be racist. Didn't they teach you that in Colombia? I wield no power in this country. I'm a black woman, a double negative. I can't be racist. It's by definition impossible. I wield no power, sir. I might be other things. Gender bias, a bigot, other things, but racist I cannot. Because I'm a black woman. I wield no power in the United States of America. But I know what you were doing. I know. Because when they get to name calling, you lost. You lost. And you didn't lose because I was right. You lost because you could not defend your thesis. You could not defend the verbal diarrhea that you spit out from your mouth. You could not defend how we as Black people in America hold no accountability for where we are in this country. And we still use the excuse of systematic racism and our past in 2024. When if I have access to money, racism doesn't affect me. This is why you have people like Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg who have been wealthier longer than they have been poor, who have a disconnect from their own community because they flourish in what is conceived to be white spaces, but it's actually money. It's money. Green. We are not held by the same restraints as we were 50, 60 years ago when systematic racism went unchecked. And I don't know what it's like in the South because I don't live there. But on the East Coast, it's not a thing. The racism is quiet. The racism is behind your back. The racism might be keeping you out of spaces, but it doesn't keep you from attaining. How? When the biracial black lip man was president twice, 2 terms, reelected, did his maximum amount of time that you could be a president. And let me tell you something, if it was longer, if presidents were allowed to be presidents longer, Obama would still be president. Let's say that again. If Obama did not maximize his terms as president, Obama would still be president. But you're trying to tell me systemic racism is still holding back the Black community? Where is the accountability, sir? Nothing holds back the Black man more than the Black man. And I could give you examples because unlike yourself, you, I'm assuming, is heterosexual. The way you dismissed me as a woman and try to get my husband to check me, you're a chauvinist. So I could tell you're straight. I have dealings with Black men. You don't. You don't deal with Black men the same way I've dealt with Black men. You're caping and rooting for a system to keep us down. You're the one keeping us down. You're doing that by continue to perpetuate the narrative that we are still victims in 2024. It's not the case. And let me tell you something. Here's the remedy that I think might work. I don't know because I didn't test it out, and I signed up for this thing to maybe our values aligned based on their website, based on what I read. I thought I was around like-minded people who are looking for solutions and not motherfucking excuses. We don't have a lack of opportunity when we are able, we as BIPOCs are able to make a non-for-profit and gather without being arrested, because that was the thing. We couldn't gather without being arrested or have torches thrown at our house. It was illegal for us to congregate. How are we still held by these same obstacles when there was 130 something Black and brown people in a room? But you believe that because you're an old Negro, and that's what that is your truth. That is your truth because that was your truth. And nobody keeps it going but y'all. White people do not remind us of systemic racism. Black people do. I'm not ignorant to the fact that we are kept out of spaces. I know I have been passed over for promotion, passed over for job opportunities because of the way I look. Actually, I'm a triple threat: fat, Black, and female. There's size discrimination, there's gender discrimination, and there's racial discrimination. But those are not obstacles, sir. That's not a lack of opportunity. Because what we can do is we can create our own spaces. We are legally allowed to do so. We can start schools that align with our values, our history, and give each other opportunities. We are allowed to open businesses where we can hire like-minded individuals, or only say, I'm going to start a program. I'm going to take my wealth. I'm going to go into a predominantly BIPOC school and start a program. The same way IBM came into high-ranking high schools in New York City. The same way Google goes into schools. I could take my money because Black doesn't equal poor. Not in 2024. Black does not equal poor. And I said that at the meeting, that because my county got a dig, right? And I said, there are BIPOCs in this county. We don't all choose alternative education because of lack of financials. We're not all Black and poor. We're Black and affluent, but we stand behind the message and the ideology of alternative education besides the antiquated public school system. I'm not first generation college. I'm not. I'm first generation American, but I'm not the first in my family to go to college. Sorry. I'm not hand to mouth. I'm not poor. I don't qualify for free or reduced meals. You're not going to pigeonhole us and make us a monolith. And what you try to do is you try to act like, sir, you try to act like we were all poor and destitute and we don't have the opportunities and you were the Messiah to bring us up. No, sir. I've been taking advantage of opportunities since the 80s, sir. The Brooklyn Borough president sent me to camp. White man, Marty Markowitz. Fresh air fund. I didn't have to go to nobody's house. I went to the camp. Okay? I got a Peter Valone scholarship when I went to CUNY. I've been taking, I've been using opportunities since the 80s, sir. What opportunities did I not have? I got into a lot of HBCUs. Actually, what kept me out wasn't systemic racism, was money. Money kept me away from the expensive schools. Money. I did not want to be riddled with student loan debt. Money made the decision for me, not my skin color. You're not going to pigeonhole and make black people in this part of the country a monolith, because in 2024 we aren't what our grandparents were because of the trailblazing that you guys did for us. Don't sell yourself short. Y'all did it. We are our ancestors' dreams. You guys are doing a good thing. Don't act like the grassroots, boots to the ground, hard work that y'all didn't pay off. I'm trying to find the thing. Okay, here we go. They like to talk about Obama. They talked about Martin Luther King. I have my own theories on Martin Luther King, but they also talked about the organizer behind Dr. King. And, the woman who's in charge of the whole organization, she's very educated. She said there's a lot of reasons why he wasn't the face. And I know one of the reasons why MLK was the face and not him is because he was a gay man. And Martin Luther the King was in the church. And that's what black people are more comfortable with. Okay, so let's share this screen. I'm gonna get me here, get me small. I'm sorry, boundaries. I'll probably end up changing the title to this thing because I'm already 30 minutes in and I'm still talking about this. So um I'll probably do boundaries another day because this got me heated. And although I did a video on this, to see it happen in person, because I have these conversations online and people are keyboard gangsters and they hide behind the avatar. So I've had these conversations on other panels before, but to have it in person, and I really enjoyed where it was going because it was respectful until it wasn't. And it was disheartening and disappointing to know that this black man who had an African or African colors, or the black colors, which are red, yellow, and green, crocheted scarf with a walking stick that looked very expensive and was hand carved to let us know that I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blackity black, to then call this black woman racist was very disheartening. So let's share the screen. And don't take my word for it. Take Obama's word for it. Okay? Can y'all see? Let me just go back. Okay. Now I'm nice and little. President Obama on Sunday told the graduating class at Morehouse, if you don't know what Morehouse, it is an all-male, historically black college. The college, preeminent historically black college, there is, and I quote, no time for excuses for this generation of African American men, and it was time for their generation to step up professionally in their personal lives. I didn't say it, Obama said it. Maybe maybe it's the messenger that was the problem and not the message. How dare I hold black men accountable for where they sit in this country in 2024? Obama, the country's first African American president, he's biracial, choose a particularly poignant moment to deliver the commencement address at the Atlanta College that boasts civil rights leader Martin Luther King, filmmaker Spike Lee, and Atlanta's first African American mayor, Maynard Jackson, among its alumni. So systemic racism kept Spike Lee from being Spike Lee, and Maynard Jackson, the first African American mayor, in Atlanta, and Georgia is not a black state, people. Atlanta might be a black city, but Georgia is not. Obama's visit comes early 50 years after King led the March on Washington and 150 years after Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. So what? Oh, let's go to this. The excuses, which that man tried to, the man that called me racist, tried to again make an excuse for the black man on where the black man is in 2024. But Mr. Former President Barack Hussein Obama agrees with me. Let's get rid of the excuses. Let's get rid of these proverbial obstacles that you keep perpetuating. And let's get it done. The same way black women get it done. We've got no time for excuses. Not because the bitter legacies of slavery and segregation has vanished entirely. They haven't. And I agreed with that, Mr. Jeffrey. I agreed with you. They might be still there, but they are lurking in the shadows. They are not, oh, got to be quicker than that. You can't go to college. You can't go to that college, but you can go to college, right? Obama told the graduating class and their families who sat through intermittent rain and thunder, it's just that in today's hyper-connected, hyper-competitive world, with 1 billion young people from China, India, and Brazil entering the global workforce alongside you, nobody is going to give you anything you have not earned. My husband and I, before Hurricane Harvey, was thinking about relocating to Houston, Texas, because that was the only way we saw a path of home ownership was in Texas. I did a lot of research on Texas, and we went there to visit. And the neighborhoods we were looking in, the people were very friendly, they were smiling, and they were brown. They were Indian. They were Indian. Why? Do you know Houston is an energy company mecca? It is the Silicon Valley of energy companies, is in Texas. And they pull talent and engineers and architects of design from India. Okay? Obama told the Morehouse men they are also obligated to set an example for other black men. Each one teach one. And when I was speaking with Mr. Jeffrey, they said there was a shortage of male teachers. I said, no, there's not. No, no, no. There's a shortage of BIPOC male teachers. There's no shortage of male teachers. Where? BIPOCs, black men, Latin men. Why? It's not cool to be a teacher where I'm from. I played concert violin and I was clowned for playing the violin. When I got a job at McDonald's, I made sure nobody saw my uniform because I was clowned for having a job. It wasn't cool. I wasn't laid up under no drug dealer and having him take care of me and having anchor babies, therefore I could get his little bit of drug money. I wasn't taking my kids to go visit their father at the jail. No, I was in college working at McDonald's. That wasn't cool. It wasn't sexy, and it's not represented in our community. Now, one thing they said is the initiative is trying to get teachers that look like us, and representation matters. And I said, well, what happens when they leave that school and the people of authority don't look like the teachers you're trying to put in the schools? What happens when the police are white? What happens when your landlord is white? What happens when your politician is white? Everything you're trying to do in the schools is for naught if it's not a community-based initiative to make everybody in your community of authority look like you. I had no lack of representation when I went to elementary schools. I had black teachers. I had 2 white teachers. The rest were black. No lack of representation at all in the schools. But what I did see was a gatekeeping information that I realized was a gatekeeper of information, and it wasn't disseminated to the masses. We kind of pigeonholed and held it to ourselves. And it starts at home. You're going around telling us that we don't have opportunity. You're feeding this to our generation. You're making them think that. But here's the saving grace. Y'all gonna die. And we don't subscribe to that old coon mentality. We are not teaching our children about slavery to keep them down. Like I did in my video about roots. Roots was the worst thing you could show to a child, because our history didn't start as slavery. Black history doesn't start as slavery. Why are we not taught that Black people were already here on this soil? Y'all don't want to hear me. Black people were here before your quote unquote Native Americans. The Native Americans are not what you think they are. The Native Americans are people from Africa. We were already here. We didn't come to America on boats. We were already here. There is doctrine of people coming here and writing about the Native Americans they saw, and the descriptions of they drew. It looked like Mom's Mabley. It doesn't look like the 2-braid Native Americans you see now. That pretty much took the definition for $5. Do your research. Native Americans as we know it is because of $5. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Research the $5. Okay? So let me stop sharing. Okay, so when I try to make Black people, but he asked me about Black men, so we talked about Black men. When he tried to make an excuse for Black men, he didn't want to hear it, and I was called racist. There was a lot of back and forth. I talked to the president or CEO of the non-for-profit. She pulled me to the side. And I said, I'm getting very emotional, not because of what he did, but because of what a parent said that rang true. And as much as we don't want to believe it, I have to be a realist. She said, sometime when it's black led, it's ghetto. And then the CEO told me that when people are triggered, we can't help they have the reactions they have when they are triggered, not making an excuse for it, but when they are triggered. And I said, he's a liability to your movement. If he cannot handle a friendly repartee dialogue with somebody that has opposing views, what happens when he goes to the state capitol and he is confronted with the opposition? Because as much as you guys have parents and supporters rallying for alternative education, there is lobbyists, people, money, politicians who are against it. He can't handle a conversation at the elevator about opportunity. And he is going to handle talking to people who don't agree with alternative public education. He's a liability, ma'am. He's a liability. Take this as a test because I am mild sauce. I'm as abrasive on the skin as this water. My dialogue to him was as abrasive as water flowing on your skin. And he couldn't handle that. He's going to handle somebody with PhDs flooding out of their ears, affluent, rich, generational money agenda to keep you and keep these dollar signs in public schools. Because special education kids bring in twice the amount of a non-special education regular pupil in state money. They're dollar signs to top heavy Board of Education. Top heavy. What are you going to do? How are you going to handle somebody who could talk you under the table? You can't even handle a speech impediment, stuttering, don't have her notes, ADHD, fat black woman. You can't even handle me. And if I had a PowerPoint presentation, you would have cussed me out a long time ago. The only reason why I got called racist as long as I did is because my brain was so crowded with noise and information and all of this stuff that I could not articulate it. I was so overwhelmed because up here, oh my God, the amount of information I have up here. And I have to make these PowerPoint presentations so I could stay focused, clear, and concise. I didn't even have no notes. I was talking off the cuff. I was like a battle rapper. You can't have no notes when you battle rap. It was like, and then he said something, and my rebut got to be, but you said, I'm not even good at that. You couldn't handle me. What happens when you go to the Capitol? So, if you are a person of color, a minority, don't take my word for it. Do some research. Talk positivity into your children. Don't remind them of what they don't have. Show them what they do have access to. Okay? You don't thrive in traditional education because it is the school to prison pipeline. Our education system is very antiquated. It is based, like this woman said, on farming. the times, the schedule, the whatever, it is old and outdated and archaic, and it's not natural to children. So you don't necessarily have what it takes. And when you learn differently, or you can't keep that model going, you are labeled with a behavioral problem. But in all actuality, the learning module that we have is not natural. So how about we look into alternative education like Montessori or online educational connect? It just pops to my head. You can't sit there for 8 hours. You can't. I can't. I'm an artist. I need to doodle. I need to doodle. But that's frowned upon. So you go online school and you doodle. Or when I'm learning, for me to retain information, I got to draw. Well, they want you to focus and stare at the screen. It's not registering because I can't think that way. I have to distract something. Something has to distract me for me to focus. That's why I don't like reading. My mother criticizes me all the time. You don't read. You don't read. I can't read. I can't focus. I listen. When I listen to educational stuff, or I listen to people, I have headphones in, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing laundry, I'm doing something else. I have to take away the noise. So instead of them labeling your kid with a behavioral problem, let's look at alternative education. Let's look at different teaching modules. My kid cannot sustain themselves in this archaic form of education. I might have to do online school where they are at their own pace. There is no way in heck I could have got a master's degree if I had to drive to a school and sit there for lectures and lessons. No way. Couldn't do it. Time and opportunity wouldn't allow me to get a master's in a traditional way. But was there an opportunity for me to get a master's a different way? Absolutely. I went online. I logged on whenever I had the time. I studied when I had the time. I studied on my lunch breaks at work. I wrote papers on my lunch break at work. And when I needed complete quiet, I stayed at work late typing my papers. Or I went to Panera, like Starbucks place, and logged into the internet and studied. I took an exam 3 o'clock in the morning because school was open 24 hours a day. And I took an exam 3 o'clock in the morning and passed. No way I could have got a master's if I had to work, get in my car after work, drive somewhere, sit, come home. I had twin babies. I started my master's degree before I got pregnant. I was very pregnant and gave birth doing my master's. I took a 3-month break. I took like a leave and went right back at it with newborns. How was I going to go? I would have had to drop out. But that had nothing to do with my race, Mr. Jeffrey. That had everything to do with my circumstance. That had everything to do with my access. That had everything to do with privilege, but not opportunity. That's different. I had to do my research, which thanks to the internet, we are all able to get information. Isn't that what Obama said? We have access to information. We live in a country that does not restrict our internet. There are countries that restrict their citizens on what they could see and what they can't see on the internet. No, we have full open internet. I could have the opportunity to get whatever I want. I might be restricted to where I can get it from because of systemic racism. Yes, but I could get it. I might be limited on where I could live because if I go for a home in a what is it called? Oh my god. One of those communities where you got to get interviewed to go in, right? Oh my god, what are those dues? You pay those dues? It's association dues, homeowners association dues, HOAs. Jeez. I could be restricted in living in an HOA, even though legally they're not allowed to keep me out because I'm black. They make ways and they're pretty much unregulated. But does that stop me from owning a home at all? No. Could I? And does that stop me from living in a community or a better school district? No. I can move, I can leave. That has everything to do with access and finance and money. Or let's say I don't get a home in that HOA. That HOA is not the school district. Let's say I want my kids to go to this school district because it's affluent, it's well funded, lots of programs. I go try to buy a home in an HOA, it doesn't work. I can't get in. I try to buy another home. I can't get in. Let's think of an alternative to me living in this school district so my kids could go there. I could rent. I could rent an apartment and make sure I'm in there for my kids. I could rent. You know what's the most detriment to home buying in America is? These big companies buying up all the single family homes. I did a post how a home I wanted, a home I could have gotten, a beautiful home, I offered asking. And they said, oh, that ain't shit, pretty much. That home sold for $70,000 over asking. And can you guess who bought it? Don't take my word for it, people. Let's look. Let's look at what's keeping us from having these opportunities. And it ain't got nothing to do about race. Let's see who's keeping us. Who, 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 who is keeping us down? Okay. Oh, sorry. I should have got rid of the ads. Yeah. Okay. CNBC. Wall Street has purchased hundreds of thousands of single family homes since the Great Recession. Here's what that means for rental pricing. You see anything about race? Anything about race in there? Blackstone bought that house. Blackstone bought that house. Okay. What's Blackstone? Yeah. I'll tell you what's Blackstone. All right, let's go back. Blackstone. This is the Guardian. It's well known. Blackstone to buy a company that rents out 17,000 homes in a $6 billion deal. That's not all the homes. That's a one-time purchase. That's a one-time purchase of single family homes. 17,000 single family homes at one time, wrote a check $6 billion. And do you know what they do with these homes? They rent them out. That home that went for $70,000 over, it went up for rent. That rent is $15,000 a month to rent that home. And there are people in it. Investment firm Blackstone struck a $6 billion deal to buy a company that rents out over 17,000 single family homes across the U.S. Blackstone, the country's largest private equity firm, has agreed to purchase Home Partners of America. Blackstone previously owned Invitation Homes, currently the largest owner of single-family homes in the country with 80,000 homes until it sold its shares in 2019. Why are private equity firms purchasing single-family homes? They're not purchasing buildings. They're not purchasing multifamily homes because the quickest way to establish generational wealth in America is a single family home. Do you know why the people that are have very good foundations when their great great grandfather came back from the war and they were able to buy a house for $3,000 and then sold it for $1 million in New York? And gave their families a foundation of generational wealth. They then took that million and bought more and invested it. It started with single family homes that Black people were kept out of. Yes, Mr. Jeffrey, I agree with you. Back then, redlining, Jim Crow, the Veteran Home Bills Act, yes. But does that happen in 2024? Are we as a people still being held back because we're Black? No, we're being held back because of money, because you no longer could hold us back because we're Black. You can't hold us back because we're Black anymore. So now you rule with money. But that doesn't just affect Black people. Money affects everybody. So now we don't care if you're Black. You marry our daughters, you marry our sons, you give us biracial little Black children that we come to the cookout and we take them to our Catholic churches. We don't care about your race anymore. Now the bourgeoisie care about money. The boule care about money and status. Don't give a fuck that you're Black anymore. That's not a thing anymore. Yes, there's racism. Yes, there's always going to be racism. But the people that really matter, it's about money. It's 2024. It's money, not color. Well, the color green. Okay. Concerns have raised over the presence of investment firms in the housing market as prices have soared over the course of the pandemic, due in part to increased demand for homes, low mortgage rates, and low supply of available housing. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show that housing prices for rentals and homeowners this spring, this is an old article, were up 2.2%, while other data like the S&P Home Price Index for March showed home prices were up more than 13% from last year. I think it's more than that. Add a plus or minus of 70%. I just saw in Queens, New York, that they were advertising low income housing. I'm sorry. Affordable housing units. They did not say low income. They said affordable housing units. 70 plus affordable housing units in Queens, studio, starting at $2,200 and something dollars for a studio apartment. They also said that there would be studio not studios. One studio going for $910. One. The rest started 2,200 and something dollars for a studio apartment in Queens. Let's do some maths. Let's do some math, people. Let's do some math. Oh, back to Blackstone. Why hasn't the government stepped in? Why hasn't our government stepped in? That seems criminal to me. That seems criminal to me. That I could be outbidded, and no shade to the homeowners, because take that 70,000 over asking. The house was already, to me, the house was already 50,000 more than it should have been, and you got an extra 70. You know, it used to be a thing for potential first-time home buyers to write a letter to the owner. Dear Mr. and Mrs. McGillicuddy, we are a new couple, newly married, and would like to start our family. Your home is perfect for us to start growing our family. Please consider our offer of, let's say, asking when you make your determination. That used to work. You think if I would have wrote a letter to that family, they would have threw away $70,000 so I could start my family affordably? Negro, please. Please. Don't nobody love me that much. All right. Let's do some math. Oh, let me find the thing. Let me find the thing. Don't take my words for it. Queens Affordable Housing Unit Studio. I'm gonna save y'all on the research. I can find it. Might be hard to find because I think it was closed. Might have been closed. It was like it was a lottery. It was a lottery. Yeah, it might be closed. But there were income requirements. The apartment that went for $10,000, I think you had to make, I mean, $10,000. The apartment that was $910, I think you couldn't make more than 45 or 50,000 maybe. And for the studio, it had a rule of maximum two people. Two people in the apartment. So we're going to do some math. 1 to 2. You couldn't have more than two people in the apartment. So if you were a husband and wife or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and you had a kid, you had to leave. That's what that means. Because the agreement on your affordable housing is 1 to 2 people. So either you had to kick that man out, or you had to leave, or just don't have no kids. All right. So here's a calculator app. I'm going to share the screen so we could do this maths together. And we're not even going to do taxes. We ain't going to do taxes. We're going to do it gross. We're going to do gross. We're not even going to do taxes and food. Okay? New York City, because this is in Queens, minimum wage. What is the amount? I think they got a raise as of June 1st. I mean, January 1st, 2024. I think it went up. Okay. January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage in New York City is $16 an hour. Okay. We're going to give this person a full-time job, but minimum wage jobs, not really full-time jobs. Okay. They're usually part-time jobs. But let's say that this person has 2 minimum wage jobs that equal a full-time job. So we're going to give them the 40 hours a week. We're going to take away their lunch because lunches are unpaid, and we're going to give them a 70-hour twice a month check, 24 paycheck. Okay. So 16 times 70 hours a week. This is a pay period, is $1,120, right? Now they get paid twice a month. They get 24 paychecks a year. Okay. So let's do 24 paychecks. I'm not even taking out taxes. $26,880. Okay. Remember that number. 26880. Okay. That studio, okay, is 2,000 because only one person's getting that 910. Everybody else getting that $2,200 one. $2,200 a month times 12. $26,400. Do you remember the original number was 2688? Okay. So that person has, we didn't count taxes. We didn't take out taxes. We doing gross. We didn't take out FICA. You work in New York City, you got to pay family leave tax, which I think is like 3 something a check. We didn't take none of that. This is gross. And just gross leaves that person with less than $400 to live with. Not a month, people, a year. This is a studio apartment. How do you have a roommate? You can't get a roommate in no studio. So you got to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend and y'all live in that studio. But that's not, everybody doesn't have that. You can't sustain this affordable housing off of minimum wage. And you trying to tell me companies like Blackstone and money companies are not our biggest obstacle, but systemic racism is our biggest obstacle? No, sir. Get with the times. It's 2024, baby. It's 2024. It's not opportunity anymore. It's not access. It's there. It's the pipeline of physical slavery to mental slavery that in the beginning was perpetuated by the white people. Yes, it was. But who is whispering that in our ears? Because actually, all the access to knowledge and information and opportunity I have received, just speaking for myself, came from white people. Never have I heard of, never have I been exposed to a white person coming into a black space telling us we ain't shit. And if they did, so fucking what? So what if they told you you ain't shit? So what if they told you you don't have no opportunity? That's a lie. I know I've been talking a lot and I've been ranting, and this is cathartic for me. I want to try to find this quote. Trying to find it. Sorry. I hate this search engine, by the way. Bing is shit. Um, Oh, I should have just went to my Google. Let me just go to Google. Sorry, Bing. I can't do this with you, Google. I cannot. I mean, I can't do this with you, Bing. I cannot do this with you. Is it gonna make me download it? Yeah, it's gonna make me download it. Okay, never mind. Okay. Um anyway, Bing, you suck, Bing. Anyway, um another thing was I want to hold us accountable. I want to be like Monique and love us for real. I really do. But I think to continue to tell us we don't have opportunities when we have opportunities to give ourselves these opportunities because we might be kept out of PWI institutions or we might get kept out of companies and businesses, although we have these degrees, is to use our leverage. And in this country, and I'm going to keep saying it, the great equalizer in this country is education and money. Till next time, everybody.